Is Royal Caribbean really that much more affordable than Disney? Oh, yes. On average, Disney cruise line prices are something like 2 to 3 times what Royal Caribbean is. So, yeah. And I don't care that the soda is free on Disney. It's significantly cheaper to go on Royal Caribbean than Disney, especially if you go on one of Royal Caribbean's. I don't want to say older ships, make it seem like you have to pick like the oldest ship in the fleet. But if you go on a Voyager class ship, again, the prices really come down there. But people who say, "Well, Icon is really expensive," Matt, and you're right. I mean, it's certainly going to cost you more to go on Icon than it will to go on Freedom or Oasis or Brilliance of the Seas. That being said, trust me, it's still significantly cheaper than Disney, especially considering that Disney is charging those prices for some of their ships that are like 10, 20 years old, right? Compared to Icon, which will be brand new. So, yeah. So what's better, Norway or Alaska? I liked Alaska a little bit better. Well, here's the thing. I liked Alaska's natural beauty better. I liked the cities a lot better in Norway. I liked the fjords were beautiful. I think the scale, the grandeur, the majesty of Alaska struck me as a little more impressive. Also, like Alaska's wildlife is hands down, but there is no wildlife in Norway. There's none. I mean, sheep. That's about it. Whereas in Alaska, there's bald eagles, there's whales, there's bears. It's really cool. If we get our SeaPass cards in our room, how do we get into our room the first time? It's a good question. Your room keys will be outside your doors. When you're facing your door is obviously locked, but outside is a SeaPass card, a little envelope. You open it up and you get your SeaPass cards in there. If you have a linked reservation with another party, can you board when they do if you have an earlier time? No. Linking reservations doesn't work that way. It will allow you, though, if you link reservations, to be able to check in at the same time, Mark. So, as an example, if you have your app open and you get the check-in time, you could go in and log in and get a check-in time for those people that you have linked to, as well. So pretty easy there. Any chance Hideaway Beach opens on 11/19 on Allure? Have no idea. Royal Caribbean has not given any kind of date other than the end of the year, Jess. Personally, if it were me, and I don't know more than you do, Jess, so please don't take this to heart. I wouldn't bet on it. I've always assumed when they're reading the tea leaves, and I could be wrong. I've been wrong about many things, Jess. I've always assumed it was something like in sometime in December, but you never know. You never know. What do you think about Icon of the Seas? Love the channel. Thank you, my friend. I'm very excited for Icon of the Seas. As many of you know, I was in Finland 2 weeks ago, checking out Icon of the Seas in person, and I think Royal Caribbean's got obviously we haven't seen the final product yet, so I can't really jump to any conclusions, but I'm very excited about what it represents and it's kind of next evolution for Royal. A lot of cool things on there. Listen, every time there's a new ship, Royal has proven to provide quite a number of cool innovations here. And with this new class, they're really rethinking a lot of aspects of the experience. And I really love the direction they're going with in terms of trying to provide something for everybody, right? Whether it's the jazz club, whether it's the surfside neighborhood, whether it's some new restaurant concepts, whether it's a wraparound promenade, whether it's more windows all around the ships, you have more connection to the sea. Royal's really listening to a lot of that feedback. Clearly, 2 days till Radiance. Alaska in July is a hoodie enough. We're gonna need big boy coats. I mean, it can't. The thing with Alaska weather, scary, is, and you'll hear people say this all the time. It changes all the time. It's hard to predict, and it is very hard to predict. More than likely, hoodie is probably okay. But again, you never know what it's Alaska, and I don't know where you live, but I mean, even forget Alaska for a second. The weather in general is all wonky, right? In terms of what I was in Norway in Geiranger, and it was. I mean, it snowed. I actually did see. I went up to the mountain, and there was very very light flurries, but in May, so things can you never know. Probably fine. It is July. And there's a difference between July and May. But I just, famous last words. Oh, you'll be fine, Scary. And then fast forward a couple months, and Scary sends me a photo of him shivering. Especially, it's not even so much being on land, it's on board the ship. Because when your ship is moving, especially, here's the scenario actually now I'm thinking about it, where a hoodie might not cut it, is when you're doing the glacier viewing on the ship. The ship is moving, the wind's blowing, it can get very, very chilly. I really think you don't need a big boy coat. you do need a well-insulated jacket. One of those like 2-in-1 or 3-in-1s that really keeps heat in is a really good idea. What was the coolest thing I saw on my Icon tour? The Aquadome. Partially because the Aquadome was the most complete looking area. So, relatively speaking, like it was, I obviously I can imagine what things look like, but like Central Park and Surfside just looked like, steel. It was like, okay, well, but the Aquadome looked like the Aquadome, right? It was the most complete. So by far it was the most interesting, coolest thing to look at. We got kind of a little preview there. I understand that all waste collections have a second floor casino that's non-smoking. Not second floor, second area. Yes. So Lisa, there used to be what used to be Jazz on 4 has been converted to a casino room, and it is non-smoking, at least as of right now. And there are slot machines in there. I mean, there's a blackjack table. At least on Wonder, there was a blackjack table. There was a roulette table, and there was one other table game. It wasn't craps. It was like poker, I'm guessing. It's a smaller, it's a pretty small space to begin with, but they did offer that. I got to say, by the way, I didn't realize this when I was cruising on Anthem of the Seas out of the UK. If your ship sails from the UK, the casino is non-smoking. It has to be non-smoking per UK law. That was an amazing experience. I don't smoke, obviously. And it was so nice being in that casino, I got to say, because it was non-smoking. But I understand that we have some smoker friends out there, but just personally, obviously, yeah. What's the biggest difference between a specialty restaurant dinner versus a lunch? It depends on the restaurant, Skip. Like Jamie's Italian has a different menu for lunch versus dinner, whereas Izumi is the same menu for lunch and dinner. And Chops has a lunch menu versus a dinner menu. So not all, but it really depends on the restaurant, whether or not there is a difference. Sometimes the cost is also less for lunch, but it depends on the restaurant. So is it possible to add someone to an existing itinerary? Yes, but it's probably going to change your price. And in a lot of cases, it is cost prohibitive. Now, there's a couple of things. Number one, depends on the room that you're in, Nicholas. So if you're in let's say it's you and your spouse, and you want to add a third person, right? Or whatever, it's your kid, it's your aunt, whatever. If the room is only categorized for 2 people, then you cannot add a third person, right? You would need to then change rooms. Anyway, but let's assume for a second, for the sake of argument, let's assume you booked a room that can accommodate 4 people. There's 2 people in the room. You want to add a third or fourth passenger. It will cost you. It'll trigger a reprice. It's almost like if you're booking the cruise for the first time. And in a lot of cases, it makes the price so much more that it becomes like, forget about it. It's not worth it because it's going to be too cost prohibitive. Do you think they'll bring back the Midnight Buffet? No. The reason why, because the Midnight Buffet was built out of a scenario of cruise ships that only had like 2 restaurants on board back in the day. There is not a lot of late night food, but I think Royal Caribbean would probably tell you that once it gets about 10 o'clock at night, most people are asleep or not interested in eating full meals anymore. I'm with you on this, Alexander. Let me be perfectly clear. I'm not here to tell you you're wrong. I would love more late night food options. Maybe we'll see that with Icon of the Seas, but I don't think they're going to bring back the Midnight Buffet. If you have the unlimited dining package, how does it work at Izumi? I saw something about a la carte pricing. What does that really mean? So you have 2 choices. When you go to Izumi for sushi, if we're talking about sushi for a second, you have 2 choices. You have a la carte, meaning they're going to say, okay, Ashley, here, we're going to give you $35 a person. You can order whatever you want on the menu, and you'll see prices there. You'll see, all right, this roll is $20. This roll is $10, whatever. And if you spend more than $35, you're going to pay the difference. That's a la carte. Another option is the fixed price menu, which is $34.99, which obviously is covered by your dining package. And then it includes 1 starter, 2 mains, and dessert. I don't recommend the fixed price menu because Royal Caribbean changed it this year so that with the fixed price, you get half-size sushi rolls. But if you do a la carte, you get full size. So don't do the fixed price, do a la carte. Basically, just count up in your head, okay, well, this costs this. Make sure you're not spending more than $35. Or if you are, then you'll just pay the difference there. So what are the benefits of booking with an agency versus on your own? Can they get you a better price to take a big commission? Good questions. I'm going to answer this in reverse order. Do they take a big commission? No. The price is exactly the same whether you book on your own or through a travel agent. Can a travel agent give you a better price? Yes, possibly. Maybe not, but you only stand to benefit from it. Essentially, you're getting the service. Number one, there could be a different discount. A lot of times, I've reached out to my travel agent because I always use a travel agent to book. And she'll be like, hey, good news. It's actually cheaper because we have a special rate because of some rando discount. Great. So it can save you money, but more than likely it's going to save you time, make your life easier, especially if things go sideways with Royal Caribbean, which happens more often than you think these days. So it's going to save you time and possibly money. There's really no downside. People will point out, people that don't like travel agents will point out, you can't call Royal Caribbean and change your reservation. When I say change your reservation, I mean cancel, add somebody, change your room type, things like that. Your travel agent needs to do that for you. I don't think it's a big deal. I mean, I don't know about you. I don't want to sit on hold with Royal Caribbean. I don't even want to pick up the phone. It's much easier to text my travel agent, say, hey, can you move us from an inside to a balcony? Send. That's it. I'm done. I wait for the confirmation coming back. Next week, we'll be live again right here on YouTube. So come join us each and every week that we're here live on YouTube. Back to our usual schedules of 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Come join us for it. Until our next live broadcast, have a great rest of your week. Stay safe out there. Do something fun, like book a Royal Caribbean cruise. And we'll talk again very soon right here on YouTube. Bye, everybody.